reflect on the timeless message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, a message of truth, justice, sacrifice, and unwavering faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also remember all those around the world facing oppression and hardship, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants relief to the oppressed, mercy to the martyrs, and strength to those who remain steadfast upon the path of truth. At this time, we remember our marhumin, our loved ones who passed away, and all the martyrs of the past and present. I kindly ask everyone to recite Surah Al-Fatiha, followed by Allah salawat for the marhumin of our families, our communities, and all those who have sacrificed for justice and dignity. Ba'da salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah. Thank you. To begin tonight's program, please help me welcome Brother Ali Rida Mekki to recite a few verses from the Holy Quran. Please help me welcome him with Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ثانية على حب الزهراء.
اللهم صل
على محمد وآل محمد. ثالثة رحم الله أمواتكم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والنجم إذا هوى ما ضل صاحبكم وما غوى وما ينطق عن الهوى إن هو إلا وحي يوحى. علمه شديد القوى ذو مرة فاستوى وهو بالأفق الأعلى ثم دنا فتدلى فكان قاب قوسين أو أدنى فأوحى إلى عبده ما أوحى. ما كذب الفؤاد ما رأى أفتمارونه على ما يرى ولقد رآه نزلة أخرى عند سدرة المنتهى عندها جنة المأوى إذ يغشى السدرة ما يغشى. ما زاغ البصر وما طغى لقد رأى من آيات ربه الكبرى. أفرأيتم اللات والعزى ومناة الثالثة الأخرى ألكم الذكر وله الأنثى تلك إذا قسمة ضيزى. إن هي إلا أسماء سميتموها أنتم وآباؤكم ما أنزل الله بها من سلطان إن يتبعون إلا الظن وما تهوى الأنفس ولقد جاءهم من ربهم الهدى أم للإنسان ما تمنى فلله الآخرة والأولى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. الفاتحة تسبق الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you, Brother Ali Rida, for that beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran. Please help me give him another loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Before we begin tonight's program, we have a few announcements to make, inshallah. First, please save the date of the UNI second annual retreat taking place from October 29th through November 1st. We look forward to gathering once again for a weekend of faith, learning, reflection, brotherhood, and sisterhood, inshallah. For more information, please see me or one of the organizers after the event. Second, we invite you to participate in our nightly sponsorship opportunity. A donation may be made in the name of a deceased family member or loved one. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower His mercy upon all the marhumeen and elevate their ranks among the righteous. If you would like to donate, please see me or one of the volunteers after the program, and we will be happy to assist you, inshallah. Tonight's sponsorships have been donated on behalf of Marhuma Hajj Basima Hamdan, Hajj Sikne Kamal al-Din, Hajj Ali Haraz, Hajj Hassan Ismail, Hajj Sarab Mushawwirab, Hajj Ahmed Talib, Hajj Khadija Fayyad, Hajj Dr. Lamis Harb, and Shafa, and all the Muslimin and Muslimat, and all the Shuhada, and the Shafa al-Maradeen. If we can please please recite Surah Al-Fatiha, Ba'da Salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Thank you. Third, please stay connected with the UNI by following our social media pages and joining our WhatsApp group to stay informed about upcoming programs, events, volunteer opportunities, and retreat updates, inshallah. Now, without further ado, it is my honor to welcome our respected speaker for this evening, Sheikh Amin Rastani. Please help me welcome Sheikh Amin to the Mambar with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. These nights, as I've said again and again, Muharram, Ashura, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Karbala, all of this, for those who will look at things a little bit closer, because these nights are all, they have Imam Hussein's name written all over them these days and nights. But when you take a little closer look, all you see written everywhere is Allah's name, actually. And that's the point I've been trying to make these nights. And the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, they are not the destination. We have to understand that. They themselves have never claimed to be the destination. They are the means, they are the path. They want to take our hand and put it in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so these days we've been talking a little bit about the Allah side of things, the Allah aspect of Karbala. Which brings me to something we're going to spend probably a few days on, and that is the Wilayah. Something that the Shia, they are very proud of, that we have Wilayah, we have Wilayah. And even that one I want to, inshallah, connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, what I want to say is that if we are happy that we have Wilayah and others don't, we have to understand that the Wilayah of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam actually goes back to Wilayatullah. Wilayatullah is everything. If the Ahlul Bayt are proud of anything, it's the fact that they have Wilayatullah. Now there's a lot to talk about in this regard, and our great scholars like Tabatabai and others have spoken about this here and there, but that's for some other time. But what I want to speak about today, and what I want to use today to drive this point home, that Wilayah, when we talk about Wilayah, and the first thing that comes to our mind when we hear that word is Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, in reality we have to understand that they are that bottom link of the chain of Wilayah. Otherwise, all Wilayah belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hunalikal walayatu lillah, the Quran says. And so it all starts with, obviously we are very happy that we are the students of, if you want to call it, the school of Ghadir, not the school of Saqifa, correct? We are happy about that. And obviously, it all culminates in the line of Man kuntu mawla. Yeah, Mawla comes from Wilayah. Whoever I have authority over them, Ali has authority over them. But what does this Wilayah entail? When we look at our literature, we'll find two different ways Wilayah has been used. In some of our literature, and this is what I want to go through today, is the literature. When we look at the literature, what we find is that some of our literature, when it talks about Wilayah, and people who have Wilayah or don't have Wilayah, they will speak about those who claim to have Wilayah, but they don't have Wilayah at all, actually. Other literature will talk about how, no, these people have Wilayah, but their Wilayah is going to do them no good. Okay? In the end, practically speaking, it's going to be the same. Whether you want to call it Wilayah, you don't want to call it Wilayah, it's not a matter of semantics here. It's not a matter of, let's figure out which word we're supposed to use. Does this person have Wilayah or not? In the end, if it's not going to benefit me, there's no point. Who cares if it's called Wilayah? Who cares if the whole world calls it Wilayah? Who cares? We want it to benefit us in the afterlife, correct? That's what we're after. And so here, this is where the literature is going to help us understand this matter. That no matter how much you love the Ahlul Bayt, no matter how much you claim to be their wali, or that they are your awliya, and they're the ones who have authority over you, and so on and so forth, in the end, if you don't have something that we'll talk about, then this Wilayah, it's just a word that's running on our tongues, that's all. I want to start with that famous verse that the Holy Prophet cited in Ghadir. He started his whole khutbah on Ghadir. He started with this line of Alastu awla bikum min anfusikum. In Surah Al-Ahzab, verse number 6, we have a verse that says, An-Nabiyyu awla bil-mu'minina min anfusihim. That famous verse, okay? And it's talking about how the Prophet takes precedence over everything. And I'm going to read off of Tabatabai for you so that you see what we can get out of that verse, okay? The Prophet in Ghadir, he said, Alastu awla bikum min anfusikum, citing that verse. Am I not more entitled to you than yourselves? The people said, yes, Bala ya Rasulullah. He said, okay, مَنْ كُنْتُ مَوْلَى فَهَذَا عَلِيٌّ مَوْلَى. That this person has wilayah over you then, the same way I had wilayah over you. Very simple. Yeah, I don't know what the big deal is. Mawla can have different meanings. I don't know what the big deal is. It's pretty clear to me what is meant by man kuntu mawla. But anyway, let's go to that verse though, because we don't have a discussion on Ghadir right now. I'm just using that as an example for this line of man kuntu mawla and alastu awla bikum min anfusikum. I want to use this as an excuse to read off of Tabatabai so that we understand what he defines wilayah to be. Awlawiyah, to be, to take precedence, what that means in his eyes, okay? Although it's pretty clear, but sometimes even the clear stuff has to be discussed and repeated. So, the verse says, An-Nabiyyu awla, the Prophet takes precedence and is more important than bil-mu'minina min anfusihim, is more important than the selves of the mu'mineen themselves. Right? What does that mean? Tabatabai, explain. He says, so when the Quran says that the Prophet is more entitled, awla, to them than they are to their own selves, this means he is more entitled to them than they are. Entitlement or awlawiyya means that when there's a choice between two or more sides, preference is given to one in particular. Okay? The one that is given preference is said to be awla, more entitled. In the context of the verse, this means that whatever protectiveness, loyalty, affection, generosity, or inclination a believer feels towards themselves, the Prophet is more entitled to that than is the believer's own self. All that good stuff that was mentioned, yeah, the Prophet is more entitled to it than you are for yourself. At the end of the day, we love ourselves more than anything else, correct? If we do anything, we're doing it for ourselves. If even for the akhirah, it's for ourselves at the end of the day. Well, the verse is saying, no. When it comes to choosing between yourself and the Prophet, with all the good things, it's him that takes precedence. So if there's a situation where the believer must choose between himself and the Prophet in some matter, he should give preference to the Prophet over himself. This means that if the Prophet is in some danger, the believer should protect him with his own self and sacrifice himself for the Prophet, obviously. It means that the believer should hold the Prophet in higher affection and esteem than he holds himself. You're supposed to love the Prophet more than yourself. The verse didn't bring any qualifiers, didn't narrow the scope in any way when it said he has precedence. It says he has precedence, period. What does that mean? That means in everything. Because if there was something specific the Quran had in mind here, it would have brought that clause. It would have brought that qualifier. There is no qualifier. It means that his self invites him, that if his self, that means you and I, if our self, our nafs, invites him to something, but the Prophet invites him to the opposite, or if his self wants something but the Prophet wants the opposite, then the believer will act in accordance with the Prophet's wishes and place them before his own. Okay? Equally, this verse shows that the Prophet is more entitled to them in both worldly and religious matters, as the meaning of the verse is categorical, mutlaq, no qualifiers at all. The Prophet is more entitled to the faithful than their own selves. Okay, so you see what Tabatabai is saying is that in everything that matters, the Prophet is more entitled to it than you are for yourself even. Okay, very, very interesting. The question is this: what's so special about the Prophet? The Prophet as a human being, doesn't the Quran say that وَأَلَّا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى, for example, or وَأَن لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى, and that everything that you do is for yourselves, and every person will carry the burden of themselves. My akhirah is none of your business, your akhirah is none of my business, in a sense. Okay? If the whole world goes to Jannah, and if I end up in Jahannam, it's not going to make a difference for me if everyone else is also in Jahannam. I've said this story before, I don't know, some of you have probably heard it, but I had an old friend, he wasn't like a Hausa student or anything, but he was in Qom, and he was like feeling all good one day, and so he's like, yeah, if God was to give me the option to go to hell, but everyone else in the world goes to heaven, I would do that. I was like, brother, you dumb. Because the Quran says the opposite. The Quran says on that day, people will wish that they could throw everyone in Jahannam so they're saved from Jahannam. You're saying the opposite, sounding all like, all pretty and loving and lovey-dovey and stuff. Yeah, the other people's akhirah has nothing to do with yours. It's not going to change anything about yours. Now, obviously, Amr bil Ma'roof, teaching people religion so they can have a good akhirah too, that's a different story. But in a sense, if you think about it, the action that I'm doing to save another person's akhirah, that is an action that's my responsibility. So, in reality, it is affecting my own akhirah too. Okay? Having said all of that though, here when it says, when we're talking about this wilayah, the Prophet that has this awlawiyya, is it because he's a human like the rest of us? No, it can't be. Because everyone's on their own, man. So why is it that the Prophet is given so much importance? Or is given awlawiyya? Yeah? Why is it that he's given awlawiyya, wilayah? Is it because he's who he is? He's a human like the rest of us? Or is it because of the association with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It didn't say Muhammadun, yeah, awla bil mu'minina min anfusihim. Did it say Muhammadun awla bil mu'minina min anfusihim? That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, from this perspective that he is Muhammad, this individual who is Muhammad, is that what it is? Is that what it is? That makes him so special and deserving and entitled to more than what you're entitled to for yourself? It didn't say Muhammadun awla bil mu'min. It said An-Nabi. An-Nabi, the messenger, the one with a message, shows that what matters in all of this is the fact that he's carrying a message. From who? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is on behalf of Allah speaking to us. The fact that it's on behalf of Allah brings him wilayah. Well, guess what? Does that mean that wilayat Rasulullah is the most important thing out there? Or wilayatullah is the most important thing out there? But yes, it's manifesting now through Rasulullah. So in reality, wilayah of Rasulullah is no different than and is in line with the wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So far so good? Because sometimes people ask this question. I want you to pay attention to this. Just the other night we had this question somewhere too. That how do I make sure that Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam is happy with me? I want to make sure he's happy with me. Habibi, why are we even distinguishing between Allah and Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam? Why? This idea of there's something different that I need to do so that Sahib al-Zaman is happy with me, other than what I need to do to make Allah happy with me. Come on. If his wilayah is in line with Allah's wilayah, is born from Allah's wilayah, what does that mean? That means if this question is an erroneous one, because to make Sahib al-Zaman happy means you have to make Allah happy. That's it. There's nothing different about it. Or sometimes people ask, what do I do so I'm ready for Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam? My answer to that usually, all right, is do something so that you're ready for death. How am I ready for death? How am I ready for Allah, to meet Allah? Death, we're going to meet Allah after death, inshallah, yeah? Be ready for death, you'll be ready for Sahib al-Zaman. I don't see any distinction here. Is there anything different? You know what I'm saying? No, there is nothing different. This is a misunderstanding that we are sometimes separating wilayah of Ahlul Bayt from wilayatullah. I don't blame us though, we're Shia. That's our identity. Our identity revolves around Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, right? So at the end of the day, this is going to happen, but we have to be cognizant of this, man. We are living in times where the margin for error is very narrow and slim. You can't make these kinds of mistakes. We have to get it right, especially when we look in our literature and we see that the Imams are speaking the same way too. This actually goes back to the idolization thing we were talking about on day 2. Yeah, the fact that I love somebody so much, I love them so much, I forget Allah, that Allah is the one who gave this person whatever they have. Yeah, and Allah has no choice but to teach us, shake us up a little bit so that we remember it's all Him actually. Wilayatullah, this wilayah of Ahlul Bayt, man kuntu mawla, all that stuff, okay, that's right. But wilayat Ali, wilayat Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam, yeah, in reality, goes back to wilayatullah. In other words, if you are assuming and accepting the wilayah of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt without accepting and embracing the wilayah of Allah, it's going to do you no good. In other words, the only reason why I even give wilayah and recognize any and acknowledge any wilayah for Ahlul Bayt and Rasulullah, it's only because it goes back to Allah's wilayah. It's all Allah, man. Yeah. Now, what are the practical implications of this? Let's say in theory, I accept this. Is that going to be enough? I leave this world with this recognition that yes, Allah, wilayatullah is everything. Is that going to help or not? Well, that's where we go to our literature to see what wilayatullah actually entails. Wilayah of Ahlul Bayt actually entails. Okay? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So we're going to go through hadiths in the time that we have. Yeah? And inshallah, if we don't finish, we'll continue tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll see where we get to. It says here that قلت لأبي عبد الله عليه السلام حديث روي لنا أنك. By the way, I like reading off of these hadiths. Just the words of Ahlul Bayt being repeated is nice. Okay, whether it's the English or the Arabic, whatever it is, instead of me just talking, the way I talk to you, to read off of it as well, I think has its own barakat. It says that hadithun ruwiya lana. There's a hadith, O Imam as-Sadiq, that we are hearing. It's going around. It's making the rounds that you said, أنك قلت إذا عرفت فأعمل ما شئت. Once you gain that ma'rifah, that wilayah, yeah, you gain ma'rifah that we are the Ahlul Bayt and we have wilayah over you, i.e. you are Shia, do whatever you like. Think about it. Isn't that great? Isn't that why we're Shia? That we can do whatever we want and the Imams are going to take care of us, no matter what we do. I hope you are picking up on the sarcasm. فَقَالَ قَدْ قُلْتُ ذَلِكَ. The Imam said, yeah, I've said that. Okay. Now look at how you can misunderstand certain hadiths. He says, all right, this is what they're saying that you said. He says, yeah, I said that. But he says, but قُلْتُ وَإِنْ زَنَوْا أَوْ سَرَقُوا أَوْ شَرِبُوا الْخَمْرِ. But even if these people who, they have your ma'rifah, they acknowledge that you are the wali, and they have your wilayah, okay? They know that that's the case, that you have wilayah over them. But even if now they're going to be sinning, doing big sins, yeah, stealing, drinking, adultery, these things, فَقَالَ لِي إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. You say that when something bad happens, right? The Imam, he does istirja. Istirja is to say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He did istirja. Wallahi ma ansafuna. He's like, relax, slow down. It's not fair. You know what's not fair? It's not fair. The Imam is saying this in this hadith. It's not fair that we have to have a'mal, but our followers don't have to have a'mal, good a'mal. Yeah? He's saying that, look, what you're trying to conclude here from what I said is that you can do whatever you want because having our wilayah is enough. Knowing that we have wilayah is enough. I acknowledge, O Imam, that you are my wali. I acknowledge that you have wilayah over me. I acknowledge that you are awla bil mu'minina min anfusihim because you are the continuation of Rasulullah in a sense. Correct? He says, that's not fair. Ma ansafuna. Insaf means to be fair. Ma ansafuna an nakuna ukhidna bil amal wa wudi'a anhum. For amal and action and good deeds to have been lifted from them, the Shia, the ones who have our wilayah, quote unquote. But then we as imams have to have good actions. In other words, we're the best of the best, yet still Allah has expectations from us. You think you're off the hook? إنما قلت. Let me explain what I was saying and what I meant. إنما قلت إذا عرفت يا فَعْمَلْ مَا شِئْتَ. Yes, once you figure it out that we have wilayah over you, do whatever you want of good deeds, because now you know how to do the good deeds, because you're coming to us and we're teaching you. You see how something can be so misconstrued? And guys, out there right now, we have people who actually look at things like this. Inshallah, we're not like that. That we think that all you need is, it's like a type of like a Christian way of seeing things, like, Al-Masih died for our sins, do what you want to do from now on, like he'll take care of the rest. Those of you who know like all about original sin and the crucifixion that took place to wipe that out, this is exactly what it is. It says the people, God in the Old Testament tried his best. The people he tried to give them salvation and deliver them through what? Through them upholding and maintaining Mosaic law, the wajibs and harams of Musa alayhi salam. But eventually God sees that the people, they just can't do it. So God's like, you know what, time to go down to earth. All right? And I have to do something myself. Because if they want salvation, they're not able to achieve it through being good people and following the law. So let's, do something else. Let's go and die for them. And wipe out that original sin. The only condition now is you don't have to adhere to the law in that sense. Well, you do have to adhere to it, but that's not what brings you salvation. What brings you salvation is love in the Lord Jesus Christ. I hope they don't cut that out of my lecture and just play that, All right? That's what it sounds like. Acknowledge, love, and we'll have more hadiths tomorrow, day after, of like people who just love the Ahlul Bayt, but then the Prophet talks about what love looks like actually. Turns out none of us love the Ahlul Bayt. So, I can do whatever I want because I acknowledged I have the wilayah of Jesus. He says, I said, if you figure out the wilayah, فَأْمَلْ مَا شِئْتَ مِنْ قَلِيلِ الْخَيْرِ وَكَثِيرِهِ فَإِنَّهُ يُقْبَلُ مِنْكَ. It'll be accepted from you because now you have the condition. It's like a ground that is ready to have seeds planted in it. Now the seeds that you plant are going to actually sprout. You've acknowledged the wilayah. You know where to go, but now you got to go. You know what it's like, man? This is the dumbest thing to do. You go to the doctor. Some people do this, actually. I sometimes even do this. Where you go to the doctor, it's that placebo effect, right? You go to the doctor, and they actually give you the prescription. Now that I think of it, the pills that I have right now, they're sitting at home. I haven't even started them yet. I got them like 2 months ago. You get the prescription, and it's just sitting there, and you feel good that I got the prescription. You got to actually take it, administer it, correct? Doesn't make sense to not take. You're like, Alhamdulillah, I know where I'm supposed to go so that I can be a good person. I will go to the Ahlul Bayt. I have their wilayah. I go to them, but then I don't do what they're saying. Here, the Imam says, look, that's not going to help you. You have to do good, but yes, the fact that you have our wilayah now is going to make it all accepted. So that's one hadith here. All right, so here this one is saying you can have wilayah, but it's not going to do you any good if you don't do what you're supposed to do. So let's go back. Wilayah of Ahlul Bayt, wilayah of Rasulullah, the fact that they are awla, that if I want to do something and they want me to do something, I have to take them over my own desire. That gives them awlawiyya. It's not because they're just another human being like me. It's because of their association with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the fact that they are the chosen ones from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If that's the case, then in reality, who's the one who has wilayah? Not even them. Allah is the one who has wilayah. Correct? But then this wilayatullah shows itself in this way. Let's move on to the next hadith here. It says that عن أبي جعفر, so Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam قال لا تذهب بكم المذاهب. Like, don't go left and right, people. Don't get distracted. There's a lot that's being said these days. This person calls people to himself, that person calls himself, that Bini Imam Mahdi guy calls people to himself. If you guys know the guy I'm talking about, everyone's calling to them. Don't let this distract you. فَوَاللَّهِ مَا شِيعَتُنَا إِلَّا مَنْ أَطَاعَ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. You talking about having our wilayah, being our Shia, you have to actually be obedient towards Allah. This is what wilayah entails. It entails what? It entails obedience. Obedience of Allah has to come. In other words, without obedience of Allah, now this literature is a little more harsh in its wording. It's saying you're not even a Shia. You don't even have wilayah. Yeah? If you don't have ta'atullah along with it. But no, I thought wilayah was, the Ahlul Bayt. Like, there was no talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wilayah of Ahlul Bayt, love of Ahlul Bayt, latmiya la'ilun, and stuff like that. That's what it was. That's what wilayah was, right? No. Wilayah, tashayyu', Shia of Imam equals obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you're going to obey the Prophet or the Imams, it's just because they're saying what Allah has said. That's it. So it's all Allah. It's all Allah. Tawheed, guys. لا تذهب بكم المذاهب. Don't go left and right. This next one. Now, by the way, someone might say, how do I obey Allah? I'm sorry, but I have to go through this very quickly. How do I obey Allah? Well, if God tells you to do something, and He says if you don't do it, you can be held accountable for it, then you do it. It's not very complicated. But unfortunately, some people just don't get this. And if He says don't do something, and if you do it, you can be held accountable, you can or will be held accountable, then you don't do it. That's called obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is it very complicated? It's not very complicated. I mean, it's on paper, it's not very complicated, but if you want to carry this out, yeah, with no cheat days, no off days till the end of time, till the end of your life, it's not that easy anymore. It's like them telling you, hey, you have to do 45 minutes of cardio, of treadmill every day, okay? And push-ups and pull-ups every day for the rest of your life. No cheat days whatsoever. And you have to count some of your calories. Like, that's the most boring life, man. Okay? Give me a cheat day or two at least. So yeah, Tabatabai says it's the hardest thing. To be a religious person is the hardest thing, because I want to say it's because it's so boring. But that's what's going to get you somewhere. Okay? Rinse and repeat, that's what it is. Until it becomes second nature for us. Obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it does wonders for us. Alright, so the wajib and haram is how I obey Allah. Well, how do I know the wajib and haram? Well, you ask Allah. I can't ask Allah. What do I look like, a prophet? Some guys, they grow their beard so long sometimes, I'm like, you're a prophet of God. Who are you? It turns out he's a normal person. I can't talk to Allah. Well, obviously you can't. Go to the Prophet. I don't have access to the Prophet. Go to the Imams. I don't have access to the Imams. Go to the 12th Imam. I don't have access to the 12th Imam. Who's next in line then? Bismillah. Go yourself. Do the research. Spend 60, 70, 80 years. Become a mujtahid. Do it. I don't want to do that. I got work to do. Alright, then there's others who've done that. You follow them. See what the wajib and haram, and that's where marja'iyya, taqdeed, all these things come from. Yeah? This thing that I said about asking the imam. Some people sometimes act like they actually have access. He's like, the whole moon sighting thing that we have every year for some of the months of the year. Yeah. So somebody, There was one of those years where I think it was Eid or it was the first of Ramadan. I think it was the first of Ramadan. He's like, came up to me and there was differences on the moon sighting. He comes up to me, he's like, Shaykh, I'm just going to follow Sahib al-Zaman on this. I'm like, good for you. I mean, that would be great and like spare us all the headache. I saw him a few days later. I didn't let him off the hook. I was like, so did you ask Sahib al-Zaman? Shoot. Like, who do you think you are? Like, if we could have access, we would. We don't have access, so who's next in line? So when it says the one who obeys Allah, in reality, yeah, we follow our maraja. Just want us to just remind all of us of that. This next hadith here, and then I think we'll call it a day because we want to end a little bit sooner, the night of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. It says that that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi in Hajjatul Wida, the final Hajj, he said, Ya ayyuhan nas, wallahi ma min shay'in yuqarribukum min al-jannati wa yuba'idukum min al-nar illa wa qad amartukum bih. All right, he said that there has been nothing out there that will get you close to Jannah and will take you away from the fire except that I have told you. Everything I've mentioned to you of the wajib, the haram, all that stuff. وَمَا مِن شَيْءٍ يُقَرِّبُكُم مِنَ النَّارِ وَيُبَعِدُكُم مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ إِلَّا وَقَدْ نَهَيْتُكُمْ عَنْهُ. And there is nothing out there that will get you away from the fire except that I have taught you. Okay? إِنَّ الرُّوحَ الْأَمِنَّ نَفَثَ فِي الرُّوحِ. And it goes on, it says that Jibreel told me that every person out there, now this is just a side note here, no one's going to die until they get their share of rizq in this life. Okay, we all have a determined set share of everything, okay? Some have more, some have less, but in the end, everyone has a certain amount that they have. It's interesting, one of these urafa, he was saying this, that, and we might even have hadith for this, that when the angel of death comes, yeah, he tells the person, okay, the amount of breaths of oxygen you were going to have, it's almost up. Like you have this many breaths in your life. You get what I'm saying? Everything is counted and measured and determined. Okay? So that kind of gives us a little bit of relief that, okay, I'm going to try my best to get as much as I can out of this life, but at the same time, I have to understand that I'm not going to pursue that which I just can't reach eventually and lose my cool and lose my sanity over it. But anyway, here it says that Jibreel has told me, look, no one's going to die until حَتَّى تَسْتَكْمِلَ رِزْقَهَا, that they get the rizq that they were entitled to. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. So what you people need to do, instead of trying to get your hands on everything, even through haram means, is to actually be pious and be righteous and do things in the right way. Ajmilu fi talab. Yeah, ask Allah very nicely a lot. La yahtab ahadakum. And it goes on, but this is the Prophet. It says that the Prophet said, he continued, he ended with this, La yahmil ahadakum istibta'u shay'in min al-rizq. Don't let the fact that something isn't coming to you fast enough be a reason for to pursue it and try to secure it through a non-halal way. Younger guys, bro, listen up. To live a halal life later, you guys gotta work hard now. Don't wait till you're my age, man. I can't walk properly. Alright? You're strong, healthy now, you don't have things to worry about. Sisters, same thing. Get out there and attack the day, attack the world, attack your work. Yeah? Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas teaches us this. I don't care what the outcome's going to be. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas didn't have a chance to do what he wanted to do, but still, he got ready for that day. He wanted to destroy that army. Things went a little different than what he wanted. He had to go fetch water instead, and he lost his life there. Yeah? Doesn't matter. The ends, are the means. Think about it. The ends are the means. Okay? Here also it says that just because you haven't gotten your hands on it doesn't mean you can go after it now through a haram. Just because it's coming, it might come to you faster. All right, and then فإنه لا يدرك ما عند الله إلا بطاعته. Only that which Allah has can be reached through what? Through His ta'ah, obedience. So all of a sudden, this idea of, let's be good people and not do haram. And when I say haram or I say wajib, I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about when you're alone, when you're with people, when you're with mahram, when you're non-mahram, with your family. Parents have their own categories and how to deal with them. At work, socially, all of these different things have their own wajib and haram. So when I say wajib haram, it's salah, faqat, and these things. It's not just salah and fasting. No, it's a lot more. Everything. But I don't know all of it. But it's time to learn. So you younger guys, you got some time, man. You guys got to get a chase life. Yeah? You younger ones? Or learn about your religion. One of these. And then, okay, like you take breaks every now and then, you play your dumb pod and all that kind of stuff is fine. But all in all, those are just the means of us relaxing and inviting. I don't even know if pod is a thing anymore. So that you can rejuvenate and get back to work again. We don't got time in this life. When the Prophet became Prophet, there's a famous line he said, لَقَدْ مَضَى وَقْتُ النَّوْمِ. The time for sleeping is gone now. I got bigger things to worry about. لَقَدْ مَضَى وَقْتُ النَّوْمِ. Yeah. So you're getting an idea of what this wilayah entails. But we have some more literature to go to, inshallah tomorrow. But yeah, man. Abul Fadl Abbas taught us that wilayah, what it looks like. You spent 35 years of your life preparing for a moment, Karbala, because you know that you can get stuff done. But Imam Hussein says, let's go get some water instead. And of course, there's a risk of losing your life. You've asked the Imam, I want to go to the battlefield. The Imam says, let's just go get some water first. And eventually, this is left on your chest, this pain, that I wasn't able to get revenge from some of these people that put us through, put the Ahl Bayt through what they went through. But yes, wilayah is wilayah. I will obey you, whatever you say. Now for us sitting here 1400 years later, we talk about this, it's very nice. But guys, it's the same thing. When my mom and dad gets on my nerves, and I want to slam the door and I know this is going to bother them, that's the same wilayah we're talking about. Allah doesn't want me to do this. My Imam doesn't want me to do this, but I still slam the door. And here I am thinking that I'm ready for it. If the Imam comes, I say, Labbaika ya Hussein, Labbaika ya Mahdi, and I'm ready to go. Yeah, everyone's ready to go on the stage, but who's ready to put the work in before going on the stage? Inshallah, we ask Allah to give us a little bit of that discipline in our lives. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin.
بسم الله صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. ثانية على حب الزهراء صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على ثالثة لتعجيل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. inshallah, a reminder like every night to do istighfar before we enter into the majalis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, to allow these tears as well to change us as individuals and servants of Allah, to grow from these majalis, not just to cry for the sake of crying and reward only, inshallah, to grow and support the cause of Sahib al-Zaman and Islam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة وموضع الرسالة ومختلف الملائكة. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, our beloved Holy Prophet, and the Ahlul Bayt. It was in your homes that Allah blessed us with guidance and revelation, and upon you descend the angels day in and day out. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdillah, sallallahu alayka ya Madlum, sallallahu alayka ya ayyuha ash-shahid fi Karbala. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, our beloved Imam al-Hussein, our beloved oppressed Imam, the Imam who was slaughtered by the shores of the Euphrates, while his mouth was dry of thirst. Everybody together. Ya Habibi, Ya Hussein, Nur Aini, Ya Hussein, Ya Habibi, Ya Hussein, Nur Aini, Ya Hussein. Our beloved Hussein, light of our eyes, Hussein. Ya Rahmatullah al-Wasi'a, Ya Hussein. O vast mercy of Allah, Hussein. Tonight, brothers and sisters, is the night dedicated to the flag bearer of Abu Abdullah's army, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. There could be no better example for sacrifice than the moon of Bani Hashim. There's a chapter in the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Insan. This chapter was revealed to teach the importance of giving in this verse. It was taught the importance of sacrifice for us. Listen to this verse. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. And they give food out of love for Allah Azza wa Jal, to the poor and to the orphan and to the captive. They say, we only feed you for the sake of Allah. We don't desire from you neither any reward or any thanks towards us. It's been the duty of the tragedy of Ashura to show us the human and Islamic sphere of the sacrifice. It seems that the responsibility of making this feel perfect was given to our master Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas on this day, the epitome of sacrifice, one of the best on the day of Ashura. Imam Ali, as had told his brother Aqil, find me a woman who is from the progeny of brave man. And Aqil selected al-Baneen. Imam Ali wished that a brave son would be born to her. The wish of Imam Ali was fulfilled in the form of Abbas alayhi salam. Listen to these lines of poetry of Abu al-Fadl. In the scorching sands of Karbala stands the granddaughter of Ahlul Kisa. calls upon her uncle to quench her thirst. When he rides to the Euphrates, hordes disperse. He reached the water overwhelmed by thirst, but how could he drink before Hussein and Sukaina first? Sukaina awaits her uncle's return, unaware his body under the sun burns. Abbas lies broken, his heart bleeding. Sukaina for a drop of water pleading. Assalamu alayka ya Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Imagine the heat on the plains of Karbala. Those of you who have been to Iraq know how hot the scorching sun is. The women and the children in the tents of Abu Abdullah are thirsty. They're suffering from thirst and heat. The camp of Umar ibn Sa'd didn't allow them a single drop of water after a time. We recite in Ziyarat Abul Fadl al-Abbas, what do we say? Assalamu alayka ayyuha al-abdu as-salih al-muti'u lillahi wa li rasulih wa li amir al-mu'mineen. Peace be upon you, O righteous servant of Allah, the obedient to Allah, to His Messenger, to the Commander of the Faithful, Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein even. Peace and greetings of Allah be upon you, Ya Abul Fadl. Peace, Allah's mercy, blessings, forgiveness be upon you, your soul and your body. Al-Abbas set a special place in the hearts of Imam Ali, in the heart of Abu Abdullah, in the heart of Zainab, and in the afterlife a special place that every martyr wishes to attain. Imam Zain al-Abidin once said, may Allah have mercy upon my uncle Abbas. He was full of insight and firm belief. He fought and was tested with a great tribulation and sacrificed his life for Hussein until his arms were cut off. And my uncle Abbas has a rank on the day of judgment that all the martyrs would wish to have to attain. And how else would it be when he was asked by al-Banin to be the protector of Lady Zainab, to be the servant of the Master Hussein? When Imam Ali alayhi salam was on his deathbed, he began to give out his will. He gave his will to Imam al-Hassan, his will to Imam al-Hussein. A time came where he calls Abul Fadl al-Abbas over. He says, my son, come here. My daughter Zainab, come here. He put the right hand of Sayyidah Zainab in the hand of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. He looked at al-Abbas and says, my son Abbas, this is my wadi'ah, which means this is the person I'm entrusting to you. As if Imam Ali was telling him to take care of her when the 10th of Muharram comes. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, if only you saw how Abul Fadl upheld your will, what Abbas did for your Zainab. The children were calling in thirst on the day of Ashura. Abul Fadl couldn't handle it anymore. The companions were martyred, the brothers martyred. Hussein was becoming all alone, no supporter and no soldiers. It is narrated that Abul Fadl al-Abbas came to his master Abu Abdullah and requested, saying, my master, please allow me to go for jihad. My chest is becoming tight. I am suffocating. Allow me to seek revenge on these hypocrites. I want to sacrifice myself for you as soon as possible. Imagine how difficult this is for Abu Abdullah to hear. The last soldier in his camp and his beloved Abbas seeking permission to leave. The flag bearer is asking to go. Imam al-Hussein says, brother, go if you want, but make some arrangements of the water for the children. Go get water for the children, Ya Abbas. Abul Fadl was known as Saqi al-Haram, the water carrier of the holy household, because he had brought water from the children in previous nights before the day of Ashura, bringing them back to the children. It is said that Imam al-Hussein and Abul Fadl mounted their horses. Abul Fadl took the water pouch and moved towards the Euphrates River. He went towards the battlefield with Abu Abdullah. The enemies before and near the river and all around them surrounded him and began to attack him. The enemies eventually separated the Imam and Abul Fadl while they were fighting together against the enemies. Abul Fadl al-Abbas battled them and killed a massive amount of enemies. One of the lions of Allah, this is the son of Haydar al-Karran, the greatest warrior. It is said Abul Fadl single-handedly drove away thousands of soldiers. We have a narration from Amir al-Mu'mineen to Abul Fadl. As before Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen was passing away from this world, what were some of his father's last words? What was he saying to him as he was lying down? When Amir al-Mu'mineen had been struck down and he was laying on his deathbed, he pulled his son son Abbas close to him. The same Abbas whose arms he would kiss over and over again when he was a child. He pulls him close to him, he hugs him tight. He says to him, my son, on the day of Ashura, you are going to do something which is going to make me proud. Ya Abbas, may you not drink the water of the Furat while your brother is still thirsty. It is said that Abu al-Fadl enters the river. He fills his water pouch and hung it on his shoulder. Abbas is thirsty. It is extremely hot in Karbala. He has come in the water after fighting an intense battle. It's said that he fills the hand with water and stares at the enemies in this moment. The enemy is watching him. Abu al-Fadl then throws the water back to the river. He comes out the water thirsty. The enemies never understood why he did this. Maybe he wanted to show that he was able to tear through all of them, stand right there in the river, and they couldn't do anything about it. Or maybe it's because ذكر عطش الحسين. Maybe the thirst of his master Hussein was more important. Abbas would never drink the water before his master Hussein. All of these 35 years of life was to show in full display on this day of Ashura. Abbas saw himself as the servant of Abu Abdullah. Abbas doesn't care about water for himself. He only cares about Abu Abdullah and the children. One of the best servants of Allah showing himself on the day of Ashura. Maybe the enemies then knew why he wouldn't drink the water, as Abu al-Fadl began to say some lines in the narrations. Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Husayn huni فبعده لا كنت أو تكوني هذا حسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين تالله ماذا فعال ديني ولا فعال صادق اليقين. He said, O self, before Hussein you are worthless, for it wasn't for him you wouldn't be. Hussein is about to drink the cup of death and you wish to drink the cold water. By Allah, this is not what my religion calls for, nor the act of a sincere believer. Abu al-Fadl gets on the horse and he goes back to the battlefield towards the tents. The enemies began to cut him off. They began surrounding him again. Umar ibn Sa'd shouted out, cut the path before him, shoot the water. By Allah, if the water reaches the camp of Hussein, he will end you all. They surrounded him from all sides as he shouted, لا أرهب الموت إذ الموت سقى سقى حتى أواري في المصالح لقاء نفسي لسبط المصطفى الطهر وقاء إني أنا العباس أغدو بالسقا ولا أخاف الشر يوم الملتقى. I fear not death were death to fall upon me. I'll be ransomed to the grandson of the Prophet, my soul be indeed. I am Abbas, the thirst quencher as decreed, and I fear no evil when death meets me. Qamar Bani Hashim fights the enemies from the left and from the right. He's careful that an arrow doesn't hit the water. The tragedy of Abbas begins, brothers and sisters. Let us get poetic in this moment. Abbas has such a high status in the eyes of Allah. Metaphorically, it's as if there's a kafara or a penalty to be paid for the hands of Abbas to touch water before his master Abu Abdullah. Jarakum Allah. It is said that he was soon ambushed by a couple of enemies from behind the trees. While Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was fighting and riding the horse, one of the cursed enemies ran up and struck him upon his right hand and cut off the hand of Abu al-Fadl. Abu al-Fadl yells out, Wallahi in qata'tum yamini. إني أحامي أبدا عن ديني وعن إمام صادق يقيني نجل النبي الطاهر الأمين. By Allah, if you cut off my right hand, I will forever defend my religion. And the sincere and certain Imam of it, the grandson of the pure and trusted Prophet, Abu al-Fadl was still protecting the water and fighting through the enemies with his left arm. Ajarakumullah, brothers and sisters. He was ambushed again by the other cursed enemy. The enemy swings his weapon and cuts off the left hand of Al-Abbas. He calls out, Ya nafsu la takhshi min al-kuffari وابشري برحمة الجبار قد قطعوا ببغيهم يساري فأصلهم يا رب حر النار. O self, don't fear the disbelievers and have good tidings in the mercy of Allah. From cruelty they have cut off my left hand. My Lord, let them suffer in the heat of the hellfire. Al-Abbas cared, all Abbas cared about was taking the water to the camp. Narrations say that he would even bend over the water to save it from getting struck. He did whatever he could to save this water. It's as if to show that Abbas is saying, it's okay that if I lose both of my hands, as long as the water goes back to Abu Abdullah and the children. Listen to what breaks the heart of Abbas. There comes a point when enemy arrows were being rained down on him. It is said that the water pouch was struck with an arrow and the water spilled to the ground. What must have Abu al-Fadl been feeling in this moment? Ajarakum Allah. It is said that another arrow was shot in the chest of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Allahu Akbar. The metaphor doesn't end here at the hands of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, brothers and sisters. It's as if there was a penalty to be paid for even seeing water before his master Hussein. It is said that another arrow was shot and hit the eye of Abbas. Ya Abbas, no eye to see, no arms to fight with, no water to take back to the task. Azzam Allahu lakum wal ajr, brothers and sisters. It is said that one of the enemy soldiers runs up behind Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He strikes him on the head with an iron weapon and broke the skull of Abbas. When a soldier is struck, brothers and sisters, how does he break his fall? He breaks his fall with both of his hands. May we be sacrificed for you, Ya Abbas. He has no hands to break his fall. He fell to the ground upon his face, shouting, Alayka minni salam, Ya Aba Abdullah. Adrikni ya akhi. Peace be upon you, Ya Aba Abdullah. Help me, my brother. Abu Abdullah immediately came to him, calling his name. He ran to his brother Abbas and he finds him on the ground in that state. On the burning lands of Karbala, his skull broken, an arrow in the eye, and his chest and his hands cut off. Allahu Akbar. Can you imagine this being your own brother or family member? Someone who you love so much on the ground. What was Abu Abdullah probably thinking in this moment? Maybe he was thinking, Ya Abbas, what have they done to you? Who cut off your arms? Who struck you in the head? Who shot your chest? Who shot you in the eye, Ya Akhi, Ya Abbas? It is said that after this scene, Abu Abdullah calls out, holding his back, Al-an inkasara dhahri. Now my back is broken. This is how difficult this test is for Abu Abdullah when it comes to Abu al-Fadl. Narrations say that the Imam came to him, he picked him up, so Abbas opened his eyes. He asked the Imam, where are you taking me? The Imam said back to the tent, I'm taking you, Ya Abu al-Fadl. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas replied, I swear upon you by our grandfather Rasulullah that you don't pick me up and keep me where I am. Don't take me back to the tent, Ya Abu Abdullah. Abbas is embarrassed and hurt that he has no water to bring back to Sukaina and the children. He doesn't want to go back. It is said in narrations that Abu Abdullah sits near the body of Abu al-Fadl. He picks the head up and puts it in his lap. Abbas puts his head back down on the floor. Abu Abdullah ends up asking him, why do you want to stay where you are? Why is it that every time I put your head in my lap you remove it? Abbas says, Ya Abu Abdullah, now you've come to take me by the head in your lap, but in an hour who will remove your head from the dirt? What does this do to the heart of Abu Abdullah? May Allah reward you, brothers and sisters. The holy soul of Abbas departs the world on the plains of Karbala. Abu Abdullah is heartbroken in this moment. Rahimallahu man nada wa Abbasa wa Abbasa wa Abbasa. Abu Abdullah leaves Abu al-Fadl near the river and he makes his way back to the camp. Who knows what's going on in the heart of Abu Abdullah in this moment? What is he going to do when he sees Sukaina and the children? What's he going to say to Lady Zainab? Upon returning to the camp, it is said that Sukaina and the children came to Hussein asking him where their uncle was. Where's the water in our uncle Abbas? How would Abu Abdullah respond? He says, Sukaina, عظم الله لك الأجر بعمك العباس. Sukaina, may Allah reward you on behalf of your uncle Abbas. She began to cry and shout. Sayyida Zainab hears the cries. She began to call out, Akhi Abbas. She gathered herself to go back to the river. Imam Hussein had to keep her from going to Abu al-Fadl on the battlefield, as if she wanted to go to Abu al-Fadl and tell him what was going to happen to her when they're taken captive. Listen to some of these lines between Sayyida Zainab and Abu al-Fadl of poetry regarding this tragedy. لحظة يا خويا انتظر محلى جمالك يا البدر مقدار اشوفه معتفر هيدنا زينب يا القمر. Oh my brother, wait for me, so beautiful your face it be. I can see you in the ground buried. Stay with your Zainab ya Abbas. قلها يا زينب انتظر واحسن يحيز نحر الشمر لازم افدي هالعمر هو الشمس وانا القمر. What would he tell her back? Oh Zainab, you say wait for me, while Hussein's head with shimmer you'll see. I must go and give my life for him. He is the sun and I'm the moon. لحظة بقبل هالجفوف قبل أن تقبل هالسيوف. عباسي لا زينب تعوف وتبقى غريبة يا القمر. What would Sayyida Zainab say back? A moment I kiss your two hands before they're buried in the sands. Abbas, your Zainab left in these lands. You leave her estranged, Ya Abbas. What are the final requests that Zainab would have said to Abbas in these moments? Listen to these lines. وسلم على أمي الزهراء وسلم على أمي الزهراء ولا تنسى بويا خبرها بنتك بقت من سترة لمن مضى وراح القمر. And send my salam to Mother Zahra and tell my father Ali Haidara your daughter stayed covered in Karbala and Abu Fadl left to Allah. Everybody bid farewell with Zainab to Abu al-Fadl. Everybody together. مع السلامة يا خيا مع السلامة يا خيا قربت مني المنية وارفع الصرخة عليا راح القمر راح القمر. My brother, peace be with you. To death you go, your time is due. Crying tears over you and blood too. The moon is gone, the moon is gone. Say your farewells to Zainab, Ya Abbas. This is a trial from God to try. If you see my arms, don't you cry. Stand from afar and say your goodbye. Near the river, don't you arrive. Farewell to you, my sister. My death is now even closer. Cry over me along river. Cry over me along river. May Allah have mercy upon those who call out Wa Husayna, Wa Husayna, Wa Abbasa, Wa Shahida, Wa Madluma, Wa Ghariba. Everybody address Aba Abdullah with all of your heart. Ya Husayna, سلام من قلوب أنت فيها. يا حسينا سلام من قلوب أنت فيها. يا حسينا لك الأرواح طرا نفتديها. يا حسينا peace be upon you from all the hearts you are in. Ya Husayna, peace be upon you from all the hearts that you are in. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا على بيت محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. والعاقبة للمتقين. To Allah we belong, and to Him is our return. And soon the oppressors will know what change their affairs will take, and the end times will be for the righteous. Ya Allah, in the name of Hussein, by the right of Hussein, by the thirst of Hussein, we ask you to forgive our sins. We ask you to allow us to shed tears and make a change with these majalis. We ask you to give us a good end on the path of truth. We ask you to fill our hearts with the love of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. We ask you to cure our sick ones and forgive our deceased, Ya Allah. We ask you to bring victory and relief to the oppressed around the world, Ya Allah. We ask you to hasten the return of our Master Sahibul Asri wa Zaman, and to make us amongst His loyal supporters, Ya Allah. Birahmatika Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahirin.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Everybody stand up for the ziyarah, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح نبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها، ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى باطنكم وعلى ظاهركم. بأبي أنت وأمي يا ابن رسول الله، بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله.